So, good to see you all again. For those of you who cared, or those of you who don't care about the topic, this one actually kind of hits close because of the fact that I'm a former go-kart attendant and worked at a go-kart track, and actually hear that a young child has unfortunately lost their life while going on a go-kart ride is really sad to hear. Um, so I want to be sure, in my experience as a go-kart attendant and stuff, and share to you what I likely think happened to this little girl, in my view. And I want to let you know that I'm not a medical doctor or anything like that to say that I'm qualified to say that this is what happened. But based on what I've seen happen on go-kart tracks, at least the go-kart track I worked on, I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't what happened to her that caused her to unfortunately no longer be with us. If it's not the case, I'll be even more surprised. But nevertheless, so I'll start out by saying that there were some concerns I noticed about this place at the Urban Air Adventure Park, and I feel bad for the company too. I mean, that's devastating to have on your hands, is to know that you have something like this happen. I mean, that's really bad on their behalf. The thing is, man, I looked at some of the videos of some of the people racing those go-karts. People were not given helmets to wear for these go-karts. That's kind of a shocker that they're not wearing helmets on these go-karts and stuff. And then my other concern is that you're allowing people to ride on dual go-karts. So what I mean by that is it's a two-seater go-kart, means that like it's a passenger and a driver cart. Most people say, yeah, it's cool to be able to have like mom or dad drive the child around the track and stuff, because maybe little Timmy's not able to reach the pedals and stuff like that. So, right? I feel differently about that. I believe that children should honestly race with children of their own ages, and that adults should race with adults only. And if you're going to race with a child on the track with adults, it should be strictly for a family race, where it's just going to be the family racing with their child, not putting a bunch of randos in there that you don't know and their mentality either, right? Because you're opening yourself up to stuff like this, and that's where I'm concerned with that. But hey, they can run it however they want, okay? So I'm just going to share with you why stuff related to injuries with go-karts and go-kart parks are going to probably be something that's not going to be a surprising thing to hear about, okay? So, as I mentioned, I worked at a go-kart place, and I witnessed countless bumper-to-bumper pile-ups on these tracks, man. And sometimes it was amazing that some people weren't taken out in a stretcher. But that's not to say that that won't happen, and it's guaranteed to actually happen, because it's eventually going to. It's only a matter of time before it does. I mean, so don't be too surprised. But the thing is it's like what normally occurs with these things is the way people drive these EV go-karts, these electric go-karts. First off, they underestimate the power of these go-karts to begin with. They think these go-karts are extremely slow. You may go to a go-kart place that will put you on a starter race, right? And you'll start out like literally, you could outrun this go-kart when it's on, right? And as the race is starting. So, yeah, I get that part, right? But then you really get these people that actually are able to meet these qualification times, if there are places that are like that, right? I don't know. Maybe some places you just pay for whatever speed you want to go at, and then you just have at it, and that's even more wild, right? But you end up getting these people, and I looked at it as like the weekends, right? Weekends were one of these days where it's going to be wild. I mean, people are getting off the week, right, of this a crazy week at work. They want to let loose. They don't give a care about nothing. All they care about is going on that track, man, and just letting loose, right? And that's the worst mindset, is just to be like, I'm just going to go out there and let loose. And it's like, whatever. And you end up having these people that are just like, especially some of the guys, I hate to say it, we've got that testosterone thing going on, and we want to like, whatever, have that ego. And next thing you know, you get into this bumper to bumper thing, and it's a pile up, and then somebody ends up like ramming into a barrier, and a helmet comes off of their head, right? So, that stuff that does happen at go-kart tracks, most of the time, if it's failure on the go-kart attendant who was supposed to be checking these people and make sure that they were seated correctly and their helmets weren't too big for them. Like, I don't know how many times I saw people wearing helmets, and I questioned why you were wearing that helmet size to begin with. But hey, you know what? Hey, they called the show, and that's the way I just rolled with it, bud. So, anyways, though, I'm going to tell you now that the most common way that a lot of these accidents will happen is what I call the Tokyo Drift. And if you don't know what a Tokyo Drift is, the easiest way to explain this is you picture a person driving a car, a go-kart, anything, and you are about to make a turn, right? That is going to be tight, for example, right? A tight turn, and you end up skidding, and your tires are kind of just drifting you around like a corner, right? This is where a majority of your racers that see other people doing that, and they're like, oh, I want to do that too, and they may not be as good as that person to be able to regain control of that car, right? And not spin out. Some of them, they eat that, and once they do make that turn, they make too wide of a turn, they bing off of a barrier, lose control of that go-kart, spin out, and then something happens with the go-kart where it just like stops working. They can't get the pedals to move. You now have go-karts coming at you at roughly max speed, and God forbid if you are on a pro or a fast race and you get plowed into at max speed, maybe topping at over 30 miles an hour, bro, at max speed, depending on where you get hit at the impact of that cart, could be really brutal. And then you add in the fact that you are going to likely have your head go a certain direction, right? Neck injury is going to be on the rise, I can tell you this right now. I mean, I told people countless times when I was walking them through what not to do on the track, and bumping and spinning out and getting hit on the go-kart. Man, if you get hit on the go-kart, you better hope that the only thing you walk away with is a pinched nerve and you lose feeling in your toes, because you could be going out in a stretcher if things end up potentially bad for you on that track, man. So this is the stuff, man, that is relatively common. And I mean, I'm telling you, people have like these little things go on where they may bump their knee or something like that, bump their elbow or hand or something like that, may get strained or sprung or something like that, or you end up just having a pinched neck or something like that. But unfortunately, my thoughts here is with this case, with this situation, is something likely happened with that go-kart, and I don't know what happened, whether somebody hit that go-kart, there was a problem with the go-kart that caused it to stop moving, or they spun out in something, and unfortunately the direction of the impact just happened to be on the side of probably her side, and when she was hit on that side, depending on how that little girl was facing on that go-kart, how she was positioned, where her head was facing, neck position and stuff like that, I unfortunately think that it was a severe neck injury this girl had, and it was so bad of it that it's honestly probably what made her no longer be with us today. And I'm telling you now that neck injuries and stuff like that are something that you want to watch out for and be aware of on these tracks.